I personally tried to digest a sort of wide spectrum of political commentary from the left to the right and pretty much anything in between to try and get a good perspective on everything. So in that vein, a big talking point at the moment, I'd love to get your initial reaction, if you have any, to the events that happened on Sunday in Bristol. What was your initial reaction like to that when you saw it unfolding?
Well, violence against the police, I don't understand at all. I mean, like most people, I'm sure many people over the years, I have personally needed the police, for a variety of things over the years, and I've always had great help and reassurance from the police, and that's purely a personal feeling. And all my life, I suppose, I was just brought up and raised to respect the police, and that tradition of policing by consent, and the fact that, broadly speaking, our police are not armed. Obviously, there's armed police, but your average policeman or woman on the street is not. And I believe in the police, and I absolutely would always condemn just violence targeted against the police. I've been shocked, really, I think at sometimes what the police have been asked to do. I think the police have been put in up and down the country, constabularies and the Met and whatever. I think they've been put in a hopeless and invidious position from time to time on account of decisions that have been taken for them by Parliament and by government and all the rest of it. And the police don't get to pick and choose what laws they have to enforce. And I feel for the police that I'm sure there's, from time to time, there'll be a bad apple, like in any profession. I suppose you'll get people that do the wrong thing, whether they're in uniform or not. But I support the police wholeheartedly, and I think anyone that talks about defunding the police or doing away with the police force is, well, just deluded. We can't have a functioning society without them. So I was horrified at that, but I'm very troubled by. You said in it, when you were introducing that question, that you listen to comment from the left and the right and the middle, and so do I. And I'm very much just motivated, but I'm fascinated by what's going on. I can't believe my eyes, and so I'm consuming a great deal of information, written, video, whatever, desperately trying to keep a handle on what's occurring up and down the country. And I never have positioned myself as any kind of expert on matters political. I'm not a political person. I've never joined a political party. I've never been a card-carrying member. I've always been deeply cynical about politicians of every stripe. I always find it difficult to vote in general elections because there's never anybody that properly appeals to me. I've never lived a day in Scotland under a government I've actually voted for. Not one day. I've always voted for the losing side, no matter what. So I don't consider myself to be an expert. I'm just interested, and I look on at things that are happening in terms of freedom of speech, the right to protest, the right to assemble, and I'm deeply troubled and vexed by what I'm seeing. And I think as a society, we are going down a dangerous path towards authoritarianism, and our liberties have been stripped away from us, left, right, and centre over a very short space of time. I'm shocked by the extent to which I think so many people don't seem to, either they haven't noticed or haven't digested the significance of what is actually happening, or they have and they don't care. And I find all of that deeply worrying. I mean, when it comes to protests, I believe in the right to protest, but there's also limits to that. There have to be. You can't just stand outside somebody's house bellowing abuse at them for hour after hour, day after day, or congregate somewhere and not be challenged about having been there long enough and that you've now got to move on. Everything has to function within reasonable. It requires reasonable behaviour on both sides. So on the one hand, where I've been shocked at watching police kneel down for certain protests or run away from other protests and then appear to get very heavy-handed with others. It hasn't been an attractive look, but it's a mess of politicians making, I think, and the police have been caught square in the middle of it. Damned if they do, damned if they don't, as many people have said.